Good evening and welcome to our tonight's show. Tonight we have three wonderful guests from our new Star Wars movie, one writer and two actresses, and oddly enough, it is an all-female cast, and this is coming out in June. So first of all, we have our writer. If you'll please welcome Jenny Starr. Welcome.
Hi, Jenny.
Alright, so you're a writer, correct?
That's right.
Alright, so every time I ever wrote an essay in high school, there was always this weird problem that my teacher would call wordiness. And I have absolutely no idea on earth what that means. Do you get that sort of a lot?
So, wordiness is essentially the use of excessive, unnecessary words. Think of it kind of like how the prequels are to the Star Wars franchise.
Ooh.
Yeah, a little bit unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, when writers do that, a lot of professors think that they're just trying to take up space or trying to, meet the length requirements.
Mm-hmm.
And it can really take away from the meaning of a paper.
Got it. Alright, that kind of makes sense. So to help out with a little bit of this, the writers for my show actually came together to explain to my dumb head and came up with a few terms that I'm supposed to ask about. So there's quite a few. Let's see. There's expletive constructions, passive voice, adjective clauses, repetition, empty phrase, and neglecting consolidate sentences. So, tell me about the first one that it sounds expletive constructions.
Expletive constructions.
Yes, explosive constructions.
Yeah, it's explosive constructions. Something along the lines of a Death Star. Explosive? No.
Yeah.
Not quite. Actually, these are just extra words that weaken the subject. So, for example, if I said, there was a young Jedi training under the waterfall.
Oh, waterfall.
Very majestic.
Mm-hmm.
Very Luke Skywalker thing to do, all up in his ego. But a much better way to just say that would be a young Jedi trained under the waterfall. You don't need that beginning phrase because it just takes away from your subject, who is the young Jedi.
So instead of like he was training, it's just he
right,
trained.
you just go straight into your subject.
That's that. All right, that makes sense. So while we have you here, could you explain the next one, the passive voice?
Actually, you should save that question for Leia and Hayden, because believe it or not, they're actually experts on this, and I'm curious to see what they tell you.
Interesting. That's
Yeah,
fair.
they won't. I don't know if they're paying attention, but they may not be expecting that. But I think you should ask them.
We'll try and surprise them. So, if you all will welcome our next guest, Leia Fisher.
I didn't get paid.
Oh, I'm sorry. Alright, so welcome.
Hi.
I
Good
hear-
to be here.
Good. I hear you've been working on this movie. How's that been going?
It's one of those experiences you grow up watching, and you watch Star Wars, and you think, wow, I wish I could be Princess Leia. I wish I could be that. And my parents named me Leia after the original Princess Leia.
Well,
So,
go figure.
I had everything there. I just never thought that I would actually get the opportunity to be in a Star Wars movie. It's
Alright.
awesome.
And there's no competition between all the ladies in this all-women's cast of the Star Wars movie.
I think we all kind of have this idea that we're sort of trailblazing together.
Okay.
This is new. This is like, we're taking down the patriarchy, one film at a time. And so I
Alright.
think it's sort of this idea we're all on the same team.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, in the same sort of spirit, the writer for your movie went ahead and threw you under the bus and gave you one of the
Of course she did.
questions.
Of course
Yes.
she did.
So, she said you were going to explain to me how passive voice works.
Yeah, she's been teaching me her writing tricks, so I actually can answer that question for you.
Alright.
So passive voice is when the subject receives the action instead of actually doing the action itself. So, classic Star Wars moment. Luke's hand was cut off by Darth Vader.
Right.
That's passive.
Right.
So that could be changed to just say, Darth Vader cut off Luke's hand.
Okay.
It makes the subject actually do the work.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, it's simple.
Alright, so why don't we move to the next one on the list?
Bring it on.
Adjective clauses.
Okay, that's a tougher one, but I know this one too. So sometimes sentences have adjective clauses, whole clauses set off by commas that can actually be replaced with just a singular word. So I'm thinking of an example. Okay, earlier we were talking about my experience with Yoda's lightsaber.
Yes, good moment.
Okay, so if I said something like, he handed me the lightsaber, which once belonged to Yoda. So which once belonged to Yoda would be the kind of clause I'm talking about. I could just say, he handed me Yoda's lightsaber. And that two words can replace an entire phrase, and that can really reduce wordiness in a sentence.
Right. The only clause we need is Santa Claus. So we have time for just a few more questions. If you want to go ahead and answer them, or if we want to go ahead and have another one of your friends thrown under the bus.
Yeah, I think Hayden can handle those.
All right.
Yeah, let's let her do that.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me.
All right. It was a wonderful experience.
Yeah, it was great to be here.
All right. Oh, good. All right. So, I heard in making this movie, there are a few scenes that had to be cut because they are apparently repetitive.
Oh my gosh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay. So, could you explain to me what it is in like a sentence or when you're writing when something's repetitive?
Absolutely. Okay, so let me use it explaining one of my favorite scenes, which I'm going to sound a little bit morbid, but that's okay. It's still my favorite. Okay, so think of it. Classic, all right? Darth Vader annihilated Alderaan, and the Darth Vader disappeared from the scene.
All right.
So, right, that's way too repetitive.
Yep.
Darth Vader, not necessary.
So many Darth Vaders.
Right, we don't need more than one, right? Okay, so then what you can say instead is just Darth Vader annihilated Alderaan and then disappeared from the scene.
Okay.
That's easy.
Yeah. All right. So I had, in high school, there was this one English teacher. She would always say that I was an empty phrase.
She said you were an empty phrase?
I was the empty phrase.
You were the empty phrase.
Apparently it was some sort of insult or something like that, but I had no idea what it meant. I know. My poor soul. But anyways, so I was wondering if you could explain that too.
Okay, yeah. So an empty phrase is nothing more than exactly what it sounds like. So if I said revenge, not return.
Return of the Sith.
Return of the Sith. How about Revenge of the Sith? Revenge of the Sith is, of course, the worst movie ever made.
Everyone can agree on this.
Everyone does agree on that. However, everyone. However, all you have to say is Revenge of the Sith is the worst movie ever.
Right.
It's completely unnecessary to add the of course, because why? Of course, everybody knows. Everybody knows how awful that movie is.
So everyone, of course, knows that I, of course, am, of course.
This is why your teacher said you were a repetitive phrase. This is why.
Okay. All right. So our final term is something. I feel like I'm part of a company or something like that. Consolidating sentences. So that Queen consolidated. I'm part of this company. So, what does that mean for a sentence?
Consolidating always makes me think of when I moved in with my second husband, but my producers won't let me talk about my love life anymore, so I'll talk about my favorite Star Wars couple instead.
Okay.
So here's an example, right? So Han Solo loves Princess Leia, and he also loves the Millennium Falcon. Well, you can consolidate that into one sentence. Han Solo loves Princess Leia and the Millennium Falcon. And if he's anything like my second husband, he probably loves the ship more.
Ouch. It's a good thing he's not that husband anymore.
Yeah, the third one's better.
No. Alright, so I feel like we can sort of take this advice and combine it with what you just mentioned. So, what are some ways that you could avoid wordiness not only in your paper, but in your love life?
You are tempting me to talk about things I am not supposed to talk about, and
Oh,
I
you
will
betcha.
take the bait.
Haha.
First thing you need to ask yourself is, have I eliminated all the unnecessary phrases? In love life, I would say this equates to my husband's ceramic dolphin collection.
Oh
Have
my-
you eliminated all the unnecessary objects in our house? The answer was, of course, no. In writing, you should look for phrases like there is or it is that can be taken out and still understood.
Got it.
Second, you should ask yourself, are there any unnecessary words? For my second husband, this was a little bit more like his clothing. Is the polka dot tie necessary? No, it's not. Does the outfit still look the same? Yes. Does it need the tie? No. Same thing for your words. Sometimes you can take out words such as that. They're not necessarily needed to the clarity of the sentence. And of course, the final question you should always ask yourself is the meaning clear? Because if your audience doesn't understand what's going on, then you've wasted your time.
Yep.
That's what I told my husband when I gave him our divorce papers.
Oh.
Is the meaning clear? And it was.
I feel like the same could be said of the third movie.
Oh, the meaning was very clear. Very clear.
All right, so that's about all the time we have. Thank you so much for coming and
It's
talking
been a
with
joy,
us.
Jimmy.
Oh,
It's
good.
been an absolute joy.
Oh, good. All right. So we'll see you all next time. Don't forget to check out www.dvu.edu/UWC for more tips on avoiding wordiness. And good night.
How do you feel about being my fourth husband?
Oh my gosh. It's a really quick divorce.
I didn't say when I got married to my third
That's
husband.
true.
I never said that. I didn't say that.
Alright. I mean,
Valid.
true,
I'm
true,
just,
valid.
See, if
I
you say
mean,
yes, then I'm going to divorce. If you say no, then I'll just stay with him.